And here is 2.2 Pre-Calculus Homework, page 95, problems 1 through 73, every other odd. In questions 1 through 12, you are asked to solve each of these by factoring. So question 1, x squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. For this one, it's set equal to 0. Simply factor this by what times what is positive 15, but adds to be negative 8, and that'd be negative 3 and negative 5. And your two answers are 3 and 5. We're going to skip 3, we'll do number 5. Number 5, 2y squared plus 5y minus 3 equals 0. This one, we're going to say what times what is 2y squared. We don't have very many choices here. And I'm going to put a positive 3 here and a negative 1 here, because these two multiply to give you negative 3, but when we FOIL, you get 6y minus 1y is your 5y. So this one works, and your answers are 1/2 for this one and negative 3 for the next one. We can skip 7, but we're asked to do number 9. We have 3u squared plus u equals 4. First, get the 4 to the other side. Make it a negative 4. And we're going to factor this by saying 3u in u. I would put, let's try 2's. One's going to be a positive, one's a negative. No. This will not work because we get 6 and then minus 2. So let's do a 4 and a 1. Let's try a 4 here and a 1 here. We get 3u minus 4u is negative 1u, so the thing I have to do is change these signs. Just like that. This now works because 3 times 1 is 3. Then we get a negative 3u plus 4u is a positive 1u when you add them together. So your answers are negative 4/3 and 1. So we can skip 11, and we were asked to do number 13. Now in this set, this changes the directions. They ask you to solve by taking the square root of both sides. You have x squared equals 9. This is very simple. Square root of both sides. Don't forget your answers are plus or minus 3. Skip 15, do 17. 17, we have 3x squared equals 12. Divide both sides by 3. X squared equals 4, square root of both sides, and x is plus or minus 2. Skip 19, do 21. 21, you have 25x squared minus 4 equals 0. We're going to add 4 and divide by 25, which is 4/25. When you root both sides, you get plus or minus 2/5 on the answer. We're going to skip 23, and we're asked to do 25. 25. Now we're going to complete the square. We have x squared minus 2x equals 12. So you want to make sure there's a 1 here, and there is. Bring the constant over, which it's already there. You're going to take half of negative 2, which is negative 1, and square it. You're going to add 1 to both sides, because half of negative 2 is negative 1, squared is 1. So as long as you add that number to both sides, you're good. Factor the left side, and then square root both. X minus 1 is equal to plus or minus root 13. And now bring this negative 1 to the other side, and you're done. Skip 27. 29 is asking you to use the quadratic formula. 29 is x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 0. The quadratic formula you have to have in standard form, and it is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So what is the opposite of negative 4? It's 4 plus or minus, and we're going to do negative 4 squared, which is 16, minus 4 times 1 times 1, all over 2 times 1, which is 2. So, simplifying this, 16, this is going to give you a 4. 16 minus 4 is 12. And we can take a 2 out of this, so 4 plus or minus 2 root 3 over 2. And a 2 cancels both of these, so it's 2 plus or minus root 3 is your answer. So that was 29. We can skip 31 and do 33. 33. You have x squared plus 6 equals 2x. You want to get this in standard form before you do anything. And the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That is what x is equal to. So the opposite of negative 2 is 2, plus or minus negative 2 squared is 4, minus 4 times 1 times 6, all over 2 times 1, which is 2. Now for this one, it looks like we're going to get a negative under the radical. You have 4 minus 24, which is a negative 20, so there is no solution. You have a negative under the radical. No solution. You were told to skip 35, which is the next odd, then you do 37. 37 is 4x squared minus 8x plus 1 equals 0. And again, you have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we have 8 plus or minus negative 8 squared is 64 minus 4 times 1 all over 2 times 4, which is 8. So we have 8 plus or minus, take it in baby steps. We have 64 minus 16 all over 8. 2 times 4 is 8. Okay. Then we have 64. We're going to do 64 minus 16, which is 48, over 8. And now let's simplify. Let's take a look at 48. If we broke 48 up, it's 2 times 24, and 2 times 12, and 2 times 6, and 2 times 3. So there are, the number 4 can be taken out of this. So it's 8 plus or minus 4 root 3 over 8. So I can reduce all of these by 4. So this is going to become a 2. That's going to cancel, and that's going to become a 2. So your final answer is 2 plus or minus root 3 over a 1. You don't need that 1 there. I'm sorry, over 2. Over 2. It's 2 plus or minus root 3 over 2. Questions 41 through 46 are asking for the discriminant and then to determine the number of real solutions. So what you're doing in those ones is this b squared minus 4ac. So we did 37, we can skip 39, so we need to do 41. 41, we have x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 0. Well, the b squared minus 4ac is your discriminant. So it's 4 times 4 is 16 minus 4 times 1 times 1. So 16 minus 4 is 12. So the discriminant is 12. That means there's 2 real solutions because it came out positive. We can skip 43. We need to do 45. So we have 25 t squared plus 49 equals 70t. Okay, so this one we have to get the 70t over on the other side. So we have 25t squared minus 70t plus 49 equals 0. So the b value is negative 70. So when you do negative 70 squared minus 4 times 25 times 49. Okay, so what is negative 70 squared? $4,900. And then minus, this is going to give you 100, which is going to give you multiplied by 49 is 4,900. So this discriminant is 0. That means there is one solution. So that was 45. We can skip 47 and do 49. In this set, they're asking you to use any method you want. So for 49, we've got, it says 4x, and then x plus 1 equals 1. It looks like we have to factor or FOIL or distribute this 4x. We get 4x squared plus 4x and then equals 1. I would bring the 1 over. And I would probably, for this one, I would use the quadratic formula. That is exactly what I would do for 41. So we have x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So b is 4, so we're going to write negative 4 plus or minus 16 minus 4 times negative 1 all over 2 times 4, which is 8. So we get negative 4 plus or minus. This is going to be 16, and then it's going to be plus 16, which is 32, all over 8. And now 32. 2 times 16 is 32, and this is 4 times 4. So this is going to be 4 root 2. Over 8, and you can simplify, the 4's cancel, and you get a 2 down here, so it's negative 1 plus or minus root 2 over 2 is your answer. We can skip 51 and we do 53. Question 53, we have t squared plus 4t plus 13 equals 0. I can't factor this one, but I like this fact that there's an even number here. I'm going to bring this 13 over. I'm going to complete the square. This should go pretty quickly. Half of 4 is 2 and square it. You're going to add 4 to both sides. Factor. You get a 17 here. Square root of both sides. T plus 2 is equal to plus or minus root 17. And subtract 2. Negative 2 plus or minus root 17 is your answer. We are going to skip 57 through 60 because those are graphing calculator questions. And we are going to move on to question 61. 61 is y to the 4th power minus 7y squared plus 6. This one factors to be y squared. Y squared. What times what is 6 but adds to be negative 7? It would be negative 6 and negative 1. Now break these up into y squared minus 6 equals 0. And y squared minus 1 equals 0. Now you're going to take the square root of both sides. Add 6 and root both sides. So y equals, don't forget plus or minus root 6, and add 1, root both sides, y equals plus or minus 1, square root of 1 is 1, but it's plus or minus. Don't forget, plus or minus 1. Question 63 we can skip, but we have to do 65. 65 says 2y to the 4th minus 9y squared plus 4 equals 0. So let's see if we can factor this one. And we're going to have a 4 here and a 1 here, and we're going to make them both negative because 2y times 4 is negative 8, and then negative 1 is your negative 9. And don't forget to square these. So we're going to bring this one down to 2y squared minus 1 equals 0. So add 1, divide by 2, and take the square root of both sides. Y equals plus or minus the square root of 1/2. Now if you want to rationalize it, go ahead, but I'm not going to do that right now. Y squared minus 4 equals 0. So y equals 4. Root both sides. Y equals plus or minus 2. And we can skip 67 and we would do 69. Question 69. This one is asking you what would k have to be so that there's only one real solution. So that means our discriminant has to be 0. We're going to use k as our b value. So it's k squared, because k is b, k squared minus 4, a is 1, and c is 25. So these multiply to give you 100. Add 100 and square root both sides. So k is plus or minus 10. So if k were 10 or negative 10, those would be the solutions. And that is it. We are finished.